try to get as much information about the project. I've been on the set before, and I've asked in the reading on the side, is it really necessary when I'm arguing for me to say this bad word? Or I'll try, can I change it to a softer bad word? And I've been told no, flat out no. And I'm booked for the role, or we're on set. And I've made my own personal decision whether I felt like this was true for my character and true for me. Because it is your, still your image, but we all know that you're acting also. So I'm not going to say one or the other. You have to make that decision for yourself, and just remember to trust your gut and be honest with yourself and pray about it. And you can ask other people's opinions, but it's going to vary on who you're talking to, so recognize that, and at the end of the day, it's between you and God. So talk to the director on the side if you want, and just say, hey, just out of curiosity, do we have to say this curse word? Oh, I do? Okay, thanks. Or whatever, figure it out, but in advance, try to get as much information as possible. If there's a nude scene or an implied, get all the information so you know what you're working with.
That has to be stated, right, in the casting calls. That has to be stated.
Yeah. So. Or for like an indie project or something, just get all the details.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
One of our performers didn't ask. They just changed the word. And they did it so well. And they made him take 3 takes, and then after the day was done, the director called him over and said, why did you change it? It was GD. Mm-hmm. And he was honest. He said, I'm a Christian, I can't say it.
Yeah.
I cannot say it. I tried, and I couldn't say it. And they rewrote for him.
Awesome.
So, maybe you're going to have to go, it's all discernment. You're going to have to go with what you feel, but they got a rewrite. How exciting!
That's
cool. And that director now knows that's a Christian, and so if he goes through something, he's going to know who he can reach out to. So that's it can happen.
And I think that's so important because as just in the industry, we forget sometimes that it's a business, and we're the talent, so we do have a say, we do have some power. So I think, just in knowing the Faith part of things, I want to talk a little bit more about the industry. And Faith, you're on the other side, so you're working with the casting directors and the talents. I just want to know if you can talk a little bit about what do casting directors and managers look for? What do you try to instill in your talent?
Well, I think number one, they probably look for people who are easy to work with.
Okay.
Because if you're going to go in and demand bananas facing south and blue M&Ms in a jar, you're not going to be easy to work with. And that's probably just a joke, but, well, maybe. But you want to be a servant. Is probably the biggest thing that we try to teach our performers is you're talented. You have the skills. Be easy to work with. And what can you do for them rather than what can they do for you? That I would say one. And number two is just kind of just piggybacking on what we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. Be true to yourself. Okay. And not be afraid to say, I'm not going to do it. And don't listen to the lie that you'll never make it because you don't do X, Y, and Z. Don't listen to the lie. It's a lie. There are things out there to do. It may not feel like it because you may have to turn down or you might get rejected for some things for not doing it. But it doesn't mean that that's the rest of your career. It just means what it truly means, what we tell our people, if a non-Christian who's willing to do anything is this good, you have to be 100 times better. So keep working. Don't get discouraged. Just keep working to be better.
Mm-hmm. And Rich and Mari, can you talk a little bit about, I know you guys both have agents, to my understanding. Can you talk a little bit about life prior to having an agent and how you built relationships with casting directors and how you booked work without an agent?
Sure. Yeah,
I'm taking notes.
Well, I'll tell you how I got an agent was through a reading. I did showcases, I did readings, I did anything I could to get seen. And I don't know how much work I actually did without an agent because I was seeing, there were some casting directors that I built a relationship with, including the one that slammed the door with the F-bombs and you'll never work again. And so that was going on. I don't remember how much, if I can give any wisdom from that, but I can talk about the showcase that they came to. It was a reading, a staged reading. And I played this kind of a beach bum guy. I wore cut-off jeans and a tie-dye t-shirt. And I used to wear my hair really long. I played this Quaker who spoke out against slavery 100 years before the Civil War. And so when I stopped doing that play as much, I cut the back of, I cut the ponytail off and kept it. And so for this reading, I tucked it up under a do-rag and had a goatee like this.
I'm just picturing this.
And so this agent, who I've worked with since 1995, called me in, and she said, "I've never seen you before." And I explained where she saw me, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And she's been sending me out ever since. So. So I guess the lesson is go for it. Really invest. Really don't see anything as an opportunity to coast. Always seek to do your best work. Always seek to improve. Always seek to hear from people who've been doing it for a while and learn from them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And Mari, can you tell us life with an agent or how you got an agent?
Well, when I started, it took me a long time to get an agent because number one, I didn't have any acting credits. I didn't know I wanted to do acting. I didn't know I was emotionally available at the time to be an actress. So I was just very friendly, wide-eyed, young, bouncing around Manhattan. And it's funny because the person who introduced me to my very first ever agent is in this room. And he's in the back, and his name is Mitch Green. And I don't even know if he remembers or not. This was probably about 12 years ago. And I was fresh from Texas, and I was doing background work because everyone kept telling me, "Ooh, get the exposure and get the experience, and spend a 14-hour day for $75." So I was looking online. Things online were just starting to become a little bit more popular. I was looking in Backstage and Ross Reports, and I met Mitch at this huge scene in a movie called Marcy X. I don't even know if you guys know what that movie is. There's thousands and thousands of people. But basically, he was like, "Oh, I know this one modeling agency, and I'll walk you over there or whatever." And I went in, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got my first agency." It was a modeling agency. It wasn't an acting agency. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm crying." And they would send me out occasionally for acting jobs that were looking for model types. And so that's honestly kind of how I got into the acting thing, which led to being able to do commercials. I was trained. I went and trained at the Actors Studio, the New School University, and it's really important to also get some type of training, some classes, because the reality is it doesn't matter if you have the look. It can affect the lifetime of your career, and you need to be prepared for when those opportunities come your way. You may get in the door because you look like the all-American kid next door, but you have to be able to book the job. So for me, it was meeting friendly people on the streets. So if you see other actors or models or whatever your craft is, dancing, talk to them, be friendly. Don't jump on them and say, "Who's your agent?" But there's ways you can be subtle about it. If you go to an audition or you happen to hear about one, look on Facebook, look on, there's a lot of indie projects. If you go, what I do, and I still do it to this day, because even though I have representation, I would still like better representation. I look at the sign-in sheet and I'm like, "Ooh, who are the agencies? I know that girl. I think I'm better than her. I'm gonna contact her." It's just a matter of keeping your eyes open, and then I hate to be long-winded, but to continue with that is don't just sit and wait for an opportunity to get work. You can create your own work. Put yourself in it, invite people to come see it, and get an agent. You can I know someone who has multiple awards for all kinds of stuff and does not have an agent yet. So you can still work before you get the representation, or you can work while you have the representation and then have them send you out as well. But just because you have an agent does not mean you're necessarily going to book. Because they're working for multiple people, so you still have to keep working, keep getting better, keep training, keep adding to your skills, and stay fresh. And collaborate with other people who are actors, and if there's things like this on Monday night, and there's free workshops, and I mean, take advantage of that and collaborate. If someone's got a great camera and you need to do an audition, like, help each other out, because there's not a lot of people that are doing that. If you're auditioning and you need someone to read for them for that audition.
So Mari is CEO of Lady White Entertainment, and like we discussed before, she makes family, and faith-based content. So can you talk a little bit about creating the content, packaging the content, and presenting that in a way that's like professional and gets eyeballs on you and butts in seats?
I'll try to make it quick. Yes, I wanted to create something positive and use what I knew to fill a void. I wasn't trying to be a superstar or anything. I just felt like, wow, there's young people who are Christians who are not being fed anything. They're not being fed entertainment. There's not a lot of programming. And unfortunately, especially in the faith-based community, I feel like the young adults kind of get kicked to the side because they're not the ones who are making the donations to they're not making the big checks to the church or the checks to the network. So a lot of young adult programming gets booted off of television if it's faith-based. So I felt the need to fill that. And I took what I knew and just decided I'm just going to make a program for young adults and ask a lot of questions, do a lot of research on the internet, and go to people who were doing mainstream projects and ask what they did and get a mentorship and express what your passion is. I think once you have the passion and the true desire to put out there, people will want to help you. Whether they believe the same thing that you believe as far as your faith or not. Half of my crew was Jewish, and they thought it was cool, even though they didn't necessarily fully agree, but they were like, you're still trying to do something great. And I really feel like, and their lives were influenced so much, and I got slack from having a camera guy who was Jewish. So, but at the end of the day, it was like, wow, this is like an amazing experience, and it's really opened my eyes. So, getting back to her question, I would just say, just do it, write it down, do it because there's a passion behind it and a true desire, because you may not get the financial rewards from it at all. You may go in debt, and you have to really want to do it. Ask a lot of questions, talk to a lot of people, do research, try to get some type of mentorship if you can, and be transparent when you talk to people. If you're calling a casting director, has been my experience, have the guts to just pick up the phone and call. Just call. If you want a model, call the magazine, open it up, look at the page, who the editors and stuff, call them up. Hi, may I send you my photographs? I'm a model. That's how I booked my first ever tear sheet. Like, just get some guts. Yeah, let's get some courage. If you're a TV host, same thing. My first ever television hosting job, or not my first, my biggest job was hosting for ESPN, and I got it because I called them up and said, hi, I'm a host. Do you mind if I send you my host reel, which was full of little chunks of stuff that wasn't even that amazing? And I was hired. And I didn't even have an agent. So just have the courage that God is going to be there for you, and you can take risks. You can take risks. There's not, especially in this industry, there's not a set of rules. Get this resume, do this, do this, do this. It's infinite how things are going to work. So just have faith and just do it, and just have the guts to just do it.